Take a photo with a budget smartphone boasting a 200-megapixel camera, and then take the same photo with a premium flagship using a 48-megapixel camera. The 48-megapixel image will almost always retain better highlight detail, smoother shadows, and more accurate colors. This graphic showing a crossed-out 200 MP illustrates the core paradox of modern phone cameras. Consumers buy based on megapixel count, but that number is the single most misleading specification on the box. When light hits the physical camera hardware, the job is only half finished. The phone has captured raw data, but it still needs to construct a photograph. That construction happens inside the device's system on a chip, using a dedicated processing block called the Image Signal Processor, or ISP. This infographic lays out the true equation for mobile photography. The physical sensor provides the raw material, but the microscopic factory of the ISP actually creates the final image you see on your screen. This chart compares a dense, small pixel grid against a larger one. Because phones are thin, their sensors must be tiny, making individual pixels microscopic. Looking at the top, smaller pixels collect fewer photons. This lack of light limits raw dynamic range to 10 bits and raises the noise floor. Since the phone cannot physically capture enough clean light through the lens, it uses immense computational power to hallucinate the missing detail. Freeze time the exact millisecond you tap the shutter. Before your screen even updates, the ISP executes trillions of operations across 4 distinct stages. This flowchart maps out that invisible assembly line. Stage 1 is demosaicing, where the ISP guesses missing color data to reconstruct a full RGB image. Stage 2 is denoising. The processor stacks multiple frames and applies a temporal filter to average out the noise. Without these first 2 instantaneous steps, the raw data pulled directly from a modern smartphone sensor would render as a color-distorted, heavily pixelated grid. Stage 3 is HDR fusion. When you take a photo, the phone is actually capturing a rapid burst of short, mid, and long exposures simultaneously. This diagram compares a standard depth pipeline on the left to an 18-bit pipeline cylinder on the right. Older pipelines act like a narrow funnel, crushing tonal data together during exposure fusion. You see the result as banding in the sky or lost details in the shadows, what engineers call quantization loss. An 18-bit pipeline acts as a wide cylinder. It provides enough precision overhead to retain perfectly smooth gradation before being tone mapped for your screen. A camera capturing multiple frames is useless if the processing pipeline is too narrow to merge them without breaking the colors. This diagnostic matrix maps out the leading system-on-a-chip families. Qualcomm's Snapdragon chips rely on brute force, pushing immense data throughput to process massive 200-megapixel single frames from large pixel grids. Apple and Google take a different route. They lean on neural engines, using machine learning to extract clean shadow detail from smaller, noisier pixel grids. This diagram illustrates sensor class 03, stacked sensors. By separating the logic and memory layers, these sensors generate immense frame data instantly. They require an ISP capable of zero shutter lag processing and extremely fast frame alignment. A camera sensor's spec sheet alone tells you almost nothing. Results depend entirely on if the phone's silicon is designed to process that specific hardware. Step back from the microscopic hardware, and the entire photography ecosystem comes into view. This diagram maps the triad of modern image quality. The top sensor acts strictly as the raw material gatherer, completely bound by physical laws of photon capture. The middle ISP acts as the processing factory, while the software provides the final color science finish. A powerful image signal processor can extract every ounce of potential from a camera, but no computational processing can repeal the laws of physics. These 5 rules of mobile imaging summarize the reality of modern smartphone cameras. The megapixel count printed on the back of the box is a marketing tool. The actual quality of your photographs is dictated by the silicon powering the device. To find out which ISP architecture actually delivers the best results this year, head over to faceofit.com and check out our in-depth SoC benchmark reviews.